Welcome to our explainer. Today we're diving into a really powerful message from the scriptures, one that cuts right to the heart of what it means to live a life of faith. It's all about moving beyond just, going through the motions. So let's just jump right in with the big question that today's readings are asking us. Is our faith just a list of rules we follow, or is it a real, living relationship of the heart? It's a challenge for sure to look past everything we do and really examine the why behind it all. All right, so to really get what God wants to do in our lives, this new thing, we actually have to rewind a bit and look at the old. And our journey starts with this powerful, kind of cautionary tale from the Old Testament. So picture this. We meet King Saul at this super important moment. He gets a direct, crystal clear command from God through the prophet Samuel. But what does he do? Instead of just doing what he was told, Saul kind of decides he knows better. He performs the right religious ritual, sure, but his heart is in the wrong place. He's disobeyed. And this leads to the prophet Samuel's famous line to Saul, which is really our first big takeaway. Obedience is better than sacrifice. God wasn't looking for a bigger sacrifice or some fancy ritual. What he truly wanted, what he was really after, was a heart that was just completely surrendered to him. And this is where the lesson from Saul's downfall really hits home. Our actions, even the ones that look super devout on the outside, they can become totally hollow if they don't come from a will that's aligned with God's. Think about it in our own lives, right? It's like showing up to church but just scrolling on our phones the whole time. It's that huge difference between doing things for God and simply doing what God asks of us. Saul's story really shows us the limits of that old way of thinking. But now, the whole story pivots. Because when we get to the gospel, Jesus doesn't just repeat the lesson. He basically explodes it into this radical, brand new reality. He invites us into something totally different. So when people ask Jesus why his disciples don't follow all the old fasting rules, he comes back with this incredible analogy. He's making it so clear that his message, the gospel, isn't just some small tweak or a patch on old religious habits. Nope. He's saying this is something completely new, vibrant, alive, and it needs a totally new kind of container to hold it. And when you lay it out like this, the contrast is just wow. The old wineskin is all about that external stuff, keeping the rules, looking good on the outside, justifying ourselves. But the new wineskin, that's the heart that's ready for Christ. It's all about the inner life, a life guided by the Spirit, defined by that deep surrender and real humility. So here's the bottom line. A heart that's old and rigid and brittle, it just can't hold the amazing living grace that Christ wants to pour into us. It would literally burst under the pressure. What we need, what he's inviting us to have, is a heart that's flexible, humble, and just totally open to being transformed. Okay, but what does a fresh wineskin, this humble, surrendered heart, what does that actually look like in a real person's life? Let's move from the idea to a real story and check out this powerful example from the life of a saint. So let me introduce you to Saint Philin. This was a guy born into nobility. He had all the status, all the privilege you can imagine. But he made this totally radical choice. He traded all of it for the simple, hidden life of a monk, completely dedicated to prayer and obedience to God. And boom, that's it right there. St. Philin consciously chose to cultivate a fresh wineskin of a heart. He turned his back on all the external praise and focused completely on that interior surrender, getting his heart ready to be filled with God's grace. He basically lived out the very lesson that King Saul completely missed all those centuries ago. Which brings all of this right back to us, right here, right now. Because this isn't just some old story. It's a living invitation for every single one of us, every single day. So how do we actually apply this? Well, we can start with just a little personal check-in using these 3 simple steps. First, just think about your daily actions, your work, your prayers, how you treat people. Then go a little deeper. Why are you doing them? Is it out of a real desire to love and obey God, or is it just routine, a box to check? And then the biggest question of all, is my will really surrendered? And at the end of the day, this is the question this whole explainer leaves us with. It's a thought to carry with you this week. Is my heart a fresh wineskin? Am I making room for the new, amazing, transformative thing God wants to do in me? To help us on this journey of transformation from an old wineskin to a new one, let's just close with a prayer together. Thanks so much for joining us in this exploration of the scriptures. May we all find the courage to want fresh hearts, ready to receive the new wine of Christ.